Hello everyone. Let's start the first lesson. Adventures in a Banyan Tree by Ruskin. Though the house and grounds of a home in India were grandfather's domain, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine, chiefly because grandfather at the age of 65 could no longer climb it. Grandmother used to tease him about this and would speak of a certain Countess of Desmond, an Englishwoman who lived to the age of 117 and would have lived longer if she hadn't fallen while climbing an apple tree. The spreading branches of the banyan tree, which curved to the ground and took root again, forming a maze of arches, gave me endless pleasure. The tree was older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as the town of Dara, nestling in a valley at the foot of the Himalayas. This is the first paragraph. Adventures in a banyan tree. What is a banyan tree? It's an Indian fig tree whose branches produce aerial roots which later become trees. Okay, that is banyan tree. Though the house and grounds of a home in India were grandfather's domain. Domain means land or kingdom. The house and grounds belong to the grandfather. Okay, the magnificent old banyan tree was mine. Old banyan tree was mine. Why? Chiefly because grandfather at the age of 65, because grandfather could not climb it. He was 65 years old. Okay, could no longer climb it. Grandmother used to tease him about this and would speak of a certain Countess of Desmond. Grandmother often teased him. Tease means make fun of, or make jokes, or laugh at. Grandmother often teased him, telling him the story of an English woman, Countess of Desmond. Who is a Countess of Desmond? Countess of Desmond was a nickname for Catherine Fitzgerald due to her longevity. Longevity means long duration of individual life. Okay, grandmother used to tease him telling the story of an English woman. What happened to that English woman, Countess of Desmond? She died at the age of 117. What happened? He fell down from the apple tree. She would have lived longer if she hadn't fallen from the apple tree. She fell down from the apple tree. Otherwise, she would have lived longer. The spreading branches of the banyan tree, which curved to the ground and took root again, forming a maze of arches, gave me endless pleasure. The branches of the banyan tree, telling about the banyan tree. Okay, Indian fig tree. The branches of the banyan tree curved to the ground, curved to the ground and took root again. Okay, that is about the banyan tree. Thus, there were many trees all connected together. Okay, the branches of the banyan tree curved to the ground and took root again. Thus, there were many trees all connected together. Okay, forming a maze of arches. That gave me endless pleasure. It gave him much pleasure. Okay, he was happy. It gave him much pleasure. The tree was older than the house. Which tree? Banyan tree. The tree was older than the house, older than grandfather. Older than grandfather. How old is grandfather? 65 years old. Okay, the tree was older than the house, older than grandfather, as old as the town of Dara. Dara was a valley at the foot of the Himalayas. Okay, it's a valley at the foot of the Himalayas, as old as the town of Dara, nestling at the valley at the foot of the Himalayas. Nestling means a baby bird that's still not ready to leave the nest. Nestling in the valley at the foot of the Himalayas. There was a valley at the foot of the Himalayas. Banyan tree was older than anything there. Okay, that is the first paragraph. Now look at the first question. House and grounds were all of grandfather's domain, but the magnificent old banyan tree was mine. Why did the boy say so? Why? Because grandfather could not climb the banyan tree. Okay, that is the answer. Now look at the second paragraph. My first friend and familiar was a small grey squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing into the air, he seemed at first to resent my invasion to his privacy. But when he found that I did not arm myself with a catapult or air gun, he became friendlier. And when I started leaving him pieces of cake and biscuit, he grew bolder and finally became friendly enough to take food from my hands. My first friend and familiar was a small grey squirrel. First friend, who was the first friend? Was small grey squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing into the air, he seemed at first to resent my invasion of the privacy. Arching. Arching his back, telling about squirrel. Arching his back and sniffing. Sniffing means smelling. Sniffing into the air, he seemed at first to resent. Resent means oppose, opposing. Resent my invasion. Invasion means attack. Resent my invasion of his privacy. Privacy means it's a state. One is not disturbed by other people. He seemed at first to resent my invasion of his privacy. But when he found that I did not arm myself with a catapult. What is catapult? It's a forked stick with an elastic band. You might have used that. Elastic band fastened to the two prongs, two sides. Okay, that is catapult. With a catapult or air gun, he became friendlier. He did not like my spoiling his privacy. I did not have any catapult or air gun. I did not use that. I did not have a catapult or air gun. And soon the squirrel became friendlier. He became friendlier. And when I started leaving him piece of cake and biscuit, he grew bolder and finally became familiar enough to take food from my hands. I started giving him piece of cake. Okay, they became friends. I started giving him piece of cake and biscuit, and he grew bolder. He started taking food from my hands. Okay, they became friends. Next paragraph. Before long, he was delving into my pockets and helping himself to whatever he could find. He was a very young squirrel, and his friends and relatives probably thought him headstrong and foolish for trusting a human. Delving. What is delving? Delving means reaching inside to investigate. Inside to investigate. Before long, he was delving into my pockets. Investigation. Reaching inside my pocket and helping himself to whatever he could find. Slowly, he started searching my pockets and taking whatever was there. He was a very young squirrel. He was very young, small one. And his friends and relatives probably thought him headstrong and foolish for trusting a human. His friends and relatives thought what they thought, he was foolish to trust a human being. Trusting a human being. Okay, that may be foolish. That was their thought. Okay, next paragraph. In a spring, when the banyan tree was full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. The red-bottomed bulbul, cheerful gossiping rosy passers, and parrots and crows squabbling with each other all the time. During the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place on the road. In the spring season, when the banyan tree had small red figs. Banyan tree had small red figs. What is figs? Small fruits. Figs means small fruits. Full of small red figs, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. Flock means come in large numbers. Okay, flock. They come into its branches. Birds of all kinds. Which all kinds? Red-bottomed bulbul. Bulbul is a singing bird, a song bird. Okay, bulbul. Bulbul, a bird. Cheerful and greedy. Another one, rosy pastures. Gossiping, rosy pastures. Gossiping means spreading rumors. Gossiping, rosy pastures. Rosy pastures, another bird. Rose-colored starlings. These birds would come. And parrots and crows. These birds are coming. Bulbul, rosy pastures, parrots, and crows. These birds would come squabbling with each other. Squabbling means quarreling. Spring season. Spring season when the banyan tree was full of small red figs, small fruits, all these kinds, birds of all kinds, they would flock into its branches. Which are the birds? Bulbul, rosy pastures, parrots, and crows. Squabbling, quarreling with each other all the time. They are quarreling with each other all the time. During the fig season, during the fig season, the banyan tree was the noisiest place on the road. How it became noisiest place? Squabbling with each other, quarreling with each other. Birds, all these birds quarreling with each other. Let's look at the second question. How did the squirrel become a friend of the boy? How did the squirrel become a friend of the boy? How? When the squirrel found that the boy did not arm himself, he did not use any catapult or air gun. Okay. The boy did not arm himself with a catapult or air gun. He became friendlier. Okay. Third question. What did the friends of the squirrel think about his friendship with a human? What might have made them think so? Friends and relatives, they probably thought him headstrong and foolish for trusting a human. They thought it is dangerous. Okay, they thought it dangerous as human might harm them. Okay, for trusting a human may be foolish. They may harm. Fourth question, how was the banyan tree the noisiest place during the fig season? During the fig season, the banyan tree was full of small red figs. Okay, birds of all kinds would flock into its branches. Which all birds? Red-bottomed bulbul, cheerful and greedy, gossiping, rosy pastures, and parrots and crows, squabbling with each other. Okay, so it became noisiest place during the fig season.